Awakened Radio, your people-powered, online, always on, always something interesting, motivating, inspiring to listen to. Awakened Radio at awakenedradio.net. Find out how to host your own show, take part in our shows, interact with us on our forums, shop at our Awakened store. There's always a lot of excitement happening at Awakened Radio, awakenedradio.net. Visit us and take part today.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello everyone and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio. Yes, this is where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world, and it is also where male authentic power is making a difference in the world. It's simply a place where we really learn and focus on being and becoming who we are. And that happens on many, many levels. It's not just one thing, you know. You might be aware of one thing, but we are so much more than what we are aware of in any given moment. And it's an ongoing deepening into these levels of awareness and levels of being that are outside of our conscious awareness for most of us. And that's why it's hard to fully be yourself if you don't know what that means. If you only know what it means in this little area, but what about all the other big areas? So I'm saying that to kind of make sure that we're not trying to push ourselves or, you know, get down on ourselves because we're still entrenched in so many unconscious patterns from the old paradigm that it's not always easy to just be your authentic self and live that. It really is a process. It's evolution, right? It's evolution where we're moving out of the unconscious, out of the darkness, the dimness, and we're moving into more consciousness and more light. And this is a process where it's really, really important to be very gentle and kind with yourself in this process. It's often too easy to get down on yourself and make yourself wrong and think you should be different and then miss the boat. Because when you do that, you're not evolving into your next level of awareness, your next level of beingness. It's actually an old pattern from the past, from the old paradigm where we put ourselves down, we try to be different than we are. We thought we should be different than we are. There's all this pushing and striving and efforting, a lot of hard work. It's really a lot of hard work. And boy, do I speak from experience here. This is not something I'm just making up. So it's really, really important to be so gentle with yourself in this process and just get into a state of really allowing your own unfolding and your own evolutionary process, your uniqueness, to slowly just start blooming just like a flower, one petal at a time. And we can only be aware of the petal that we are aware of. When I say it, it's like, yeah, of course. But that's not how we live our life. We always try to get to the next. We always want to go to the next moment, the next evolutionary step, the bigger, the better. It's so rare to find somebody who truly lives and rests in this very moment in the very petal that's opening right now, and that is already open, that we can just learn to be with exactly the way we are right now, not push through any of it, not ignore any of it, and not think we should be any further along than we are. There might be something in us that wants to be further along than we are. And that's part of what is, right? We can embrace that part that really wants to be, more enlightened, more loving, more clear, whatever it is for each and every one of us. That's not a wrong thing. That's not bad or something, but we should not get identified with it. Instead, we can include that in allowing what is in every moment, because that often is the evolutionary impulse inside of us that is driving us to keep going, that's moving us to keep evolving. So you see, it's everything, and it's learning to become aware of this everything that's going on, and that's a lot, and we cannot be aware of all of it. We can only be aware of what is given to us to be aware of in the moment. So that's what we're going to talk some more about today, about how to actually be ourselves, how to be yourself, and what that means, and how we do that. If you would like to join in on this conversation, I would very much welcome you to do that. You can go to the chat room on Awaken Radio /live chat room, and you can just come in and say hello, introduce yourself, and if you have anything you want to share, I would certainly love to hear from you. And you can always call in, and I will see if I can be more aware when people call in, because sometimes I don't see it on my screen right away. But if you want to connect with me and talk, have a question, share something, please call in at 334-649-7204. And also, I want to let you know that the new chat room is actually now working on the mobile devices. So if you're listening in on your mobile, on your cell phone, if you've gone to tunein.com, and that's where you can download the free app for your phone, and then you just search for Awaken Radio. Now you can also participate in the chat room there. So there's many ways to participate and connect and interact and just share yourself. As you know, I always really invite you to share yourself. There's such a power in that. And it actually makes me think of what it's like to do a radio show, to host a radio show. And I've been doing this for, I think, close to 2 years, a little under 2 years now. And to share my message like this, that in itself is an evolutionary process. And I wrote a book years ago called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. And if you're interested in that, you can go to my website and look around more what's available. And that's LillaRose.com, LillaRose.com. And when I wrote this book, Imagine Being Kind to Yourself, that was an amazing process too. It's when you sit down, paper and pen, and you have this inspiration, a movement to write a book. I did not know what I was going to write. I certainly had an idea because everything that I'm doing is about, the allowing, the being kind to yourself, and listening to yourself, and just simply becoming at one with yourself. But I had no idea what I was going to write. And suddenly, I wrote a book, and then it needed to be edited and changed and improved and taken some add some things and take some things out. So again, it's a whole process. And it's the same with a radio show. When I did my first radio show, I was scared. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I had notes, things so I could lean on it, and that's totally okay. I still write things down before a radio show if I get some inspiration, something I want to talk about, just so I remember to speak about those bullet points. But the process, you see, it's the process of sharing it. It's the process that makes it become real and alive in my own life. So it may seem like I'm writing a book for others to read and I'm doing a radio show for others to listen to. And that's all true, that's part of it. But the bottom line is that it's really my own process. And if you listen to the show, if you've been listening to the shows over the years, and if you want to listen to the rebroadcasts, you can also find those on my website. Everything is downloaded there. It's been an evolutionary process where what I shared almost 2 years ago is very similar to what I share today, but it's gone so much deeper. It's so much wider and broader and more alive, because every time I share my message, I learn something. I open up to the message that is coming through me, right? It's not something I've been writing out before I sit down here. No, it's something I sit down, I have a sense inside, there is a movement, there is an inspiration inside, and that's all I know. That's all I can go by. And then as I let it out, I open up the door for this movement. You know, words come out, sometimes really good things that I learned from myself, which is so funny. And that's how it is for all of us. We think we have a message for the world, but we are actually learning. We are the biggest receiver of the message. Otherwise, we wouldn't put it out there. And that the reason I'm saying this is like if you have something in your heart that you want to share, it doesn't have to be a radio show, it doesn't have to be a book. It could just be calling in or chatting in here on the show and just share yourself. And you will notice that something will open up in you just by sharing yourself. You will get some insights, either just because you speak it or because you and I may have a conversation about it where some more clarity will come out of it. But it's really, I want to encourage you to start really speaking what is in your heart and start getting more comfortable with that, because that to me is very much part of being who you are and learning to be okay and feel comfortable with yourself. So the title that I gave today is something like, is it really okay to be yourself? And I would answer that with, it is absolutely okay to be yourself. It's not just okay. It's really essential. If we want to make a difference in the world, it is so essential that we come to a place where we are okay with who we are. The last couple of weeks, I've had some conversations with some of my clients, some of my friends, just some insight on my part, how difficult it still is for so many people to be yourself. And it was something I noticed, and it's not like it's new, but there were suddenly a number of people that I had either sessions with or had conversations with, where it really is obvious that there still is quite a fear in just being yourself, and feel okay with it, and really feel something in your body that resonates and that starts relaxing when you're just being yourself. Now, what I saw in most people was that there is a big fear to either hurt others or disappoint others, or really stepping in to that authority of being yourself, because you might get hurt. You might get hurt. But there was a general feeling of the fear of hurting others. And, this is how it has been. I always try to normalize things so that the mind can relax more and see it for what it really is, instead of making yourself wrong for it and doing the should thing and pushing through. But if you look at the past, I don't know, let's say 50 or 100 years, just go back a little bit in time, we couldn't just be ourselves. We were very dependent on each other for survival. And a lot of the times, the reason we are not being ourselves is simply our survival issues, that we might be an outcast, we might be left, we might be this or that, something negative, if we are ourselves. And if we look at our lives, we can probably find a lot of times where that has been true, right? So it's not just something you're making up if this is part of your experience right now. This is something that has been very real in our past experience. And it was scary. It could even be life-threatening in many ways if we go back further in time. And there are still countries where it is life-threatening, specifically if a woman stands up to be herself. There is a good chance that she will be killed, molested, and become an outcast. So let's not pretend that this is just something we're making up in our mind. It's been real. But we don't have to continue doing it. There are enough of us now who are able and willing and courageous enough to stand in our own authority and become ourselves. And, little by little, little steps by little steps, we walk out of this old paradigm where we were trying to fit in and be like everybody else and please others. Oh my gosh, how many of us have tried to please everyone? It's such a thing that we women do, right? We want to please everyone. And I think there is something really beautiful about that, because we want everybody to be happy. It's in our nature. We don't want to hurt people, and that's beautiful. And I think it's not something we should throw out the window, but we may be able to adjust it a little bit and make it fit our lives today, so that we don't leave ourselves out. So we don't keep hurting ourselves by not being true to ourselves. So this fear of hurting others holds a lot of people back from stepping into their full truth. And I would just suggest that you embrace that fear. Listen to it. And you might have a conversation with it and find out, what is the big fear? What is the worst thing that can happen? And then there might be memories coming up about, I'll be an outcast, they're not going to like me, I'm going to be, criticized and judged. And even though there might be some truth to that, it's usually a lot less than what the mind is trying to tell us. So it's kind of learning to have a sweet conversation with that fearful part and educate that part of yourself and say, well, maybe we can try and do it this way, or maybe we can learn to use a language so that when we are in our truth, it's not offensive to others, but it can be inclusive. And those are tools that most of us have not learned ever. But when you learn that, and I just want to say, this is something that I love to do and help you with, to help you get the language, to help you find the courage to be yourself, and not just courage, but a restfulness, a joy in being yourself. And the more we do that, the more we really embrace all of who we are and start listening to ourselves and acting from this place inside, the way we speak our truth to others is going to soften, and it's going to be more mellow and relaxed, because we're not in this place where we need to where we feel we need to defend ourselves, and that it is okay that we want this. And it's funny, I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine just a few days ago where she was sharing something that was not right in a situation she was in. And she was sharing that, and all I really heard was that she was defending herself. And not to me, but to herself or to these people or in her mind, right? And that's kind of the things, when I'm with somebody, I do hear the words that are spoken, but I always hear something that's much bigger, and it's the one that speaks the words. Who is speaking here? You know, what part of you is defending yourself? That's the part that glares at me, and I can't help that. So that's just, you know, because I think probably because the work that I do, that's kind of what I feel into, like, well, what is really going on here? So the story that we make up is usually not it, although if we keep repeating it to ourselves or to others, we start believing it more and more. But then you never get the opportunity to go behind the story into the storyteller. So here she was sharing this with me on the phone, and I just couldn't help feeling this part of her that was defending herself. And I said, you know, would it be okay with you if I just share what I'm sensing here? And she said, sure, you know. So I just said, you know, it feels like you're defending yourself here. And I'm not sure who or what you're defending here, because I know it's not me. I know I'm not saying anything that you're wrong in wanting that, because there was something she wanted differently in her life and the situation. And so I said, so there's a part of you that, you know, feels the need to defend that you want that, and I get curious about that. And then she go, oh, and then right away she got it. You know, most of my friends are pretty conscious, so it's many times easy to just point to it gently, and then it's seen right away. So she go, oh, yeah, you know what, I'm defending, it's my mind defending because I think it's not okay, and if I do that, I'm afraid that this, and this will happen. So there was this whole underlying story that was just there as an energy that she was not really aware of because she was so involved in defending herself and not really listening to the fear underneath. So then I said, you know, it's really okay that you want that. And, you know, if you thought it was going to be different when you started out and then it turned out to be like this, you know, there's something in you that really wants to see it unfolding this way. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. You know, there's an opportunity for growth here. And so suddenly that defensive part, that thought she needed to defend herself for being true to herself, started softening. And then I just gave some suggestions, you know, where maybe you can say this to these people, maybe you can put it out in this way, you know, and maybe a very beautiful solution is waiting to happen if you guys have a good conversation about it. And then, you know, you can just feel the energy like, and this is what I see happening in most of us. We don't think that's possible. We're still so focused on that it's not okay to be ourselves. If we are ourselves, then either we're going to be asked to leave, or we're going to lose our job, or our partner will say, I never want to talk to you again, or, you know, whatever it is, in whatever situation it is, it doesn't matter. The situation is just an expression of it. But when you learn to just embrace the part of you that wants something different, right? That wants a different expression and a different experience in life. And instead of thinking you shouldn't have that, you couldn't have that, you know, people won't like you for that, if you can suspend that for a moment, even if it's just for a moment, to make space to listen to the underlying longing and your truth underneath it. You can just listen to that, you know. And then what we often do here is this is where we get back to the allowing, right? You just suspend that crazy. You allow it to be there, but you don't need to swirl around in it. So you just allow it to be here on the side. The fear is like, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that would be scary if that happened. But what else is going on? And then you listen to like, oh, this is really, really important for me. And there's also a term called the non-negotiables. Can be in a workplace, a friendship place, a roommate situation, a partnership of any kind, that we have certain core values or standards that are really, really important for ourselves. And it is really sad that we don't honor those, because it prevents us from living the fulfilled life that can and will happen when we listen to this deeper longing, these deeper core values. It's very, very important. When we do that, that is like opening up the door for the fulfillment and the joy that is waiting for your life to express itself. These core values or these longings or visions or whatever it is, they are not a mistake. I know I've said it so many times, and it's so good to hear it again and again, because it's such an old pattern from the old paradigm to believe that, I can't have that, there's something wrong. Some of us even think it's my ego wanting something, and that's not right. But it's not always true. It's learning to feel into if there is anything of the ego grasping for something out of fear or out of resentment or jealousy or anger or whatever. If it's coming from a place of separation, then you need to be with that part and help it soften and relax so it's not so afraid. But there's another thing going on, and that is our deeper truth and our deeper longing and our deeper core values. Those are not coming from the ego. That's coming from the spark of your essence, or from the evolutionary process or impulse inside of you. And I know for many of us there's a confusion for a while, like, well, what is what? How do I know the difference? Well, you may not know the difference overnight, but it's something that you will learn when you keep allowing and listening. Then you get more clear on if you're coming from a sense of fear and separation and survival, or if there is something deeper in you that wants to express itself in a much more wholesome and mature and integrated way. That's coming from a much deeper place. That is important to listen to, because that is what wants to come out of you and express itself in your life. And it cannot happen if you keep suppressing it. All you will do then is you will keep living in the same misery, because you're living outside of yourself. You're not listening to this deeper truth. That is good. It's a good thing. And you won't know that until you really start embracing it, right? But it is good. I promise you, it is good. Now, in order to get to that and start living it, you might need to break down some walls, some inner walls and some outer walls. It may need that there will be some furniture moving around in your life for a while, until you get fully in alignment with yourself. So we're going to continue talking about this after the break. I do want to invite you to go to my website at LillaRose.com, LILLAROSE, and just look around a little bit. If you need help, you can always sign up for a 30-minute free discovery session with me. All right, my friends, we're going to take a little break, and we will continue this conversation shortly.
Would you consider helping Awakened Radio Network move into 2014 in a brand new, bigger, more exciting way? Live streaming TV in addition to our live streaming radio. If you would love to give something back to the station that gives you the tools for self-empowerment so that you can do your own healing and your own work, well, then head on over to www.gofundme.com Awakened Radio. That's gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. Your donations can help us move into 2014 bigger, better than we've done for the past 2 years. Please help us out. Consider making a donation. And after donating, please use your social networks, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all of them to share gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. We've done this much together. Just think what we can do if each one of us will invite 10 people to come and support the Awakened Radio Network. Thank you so much. I'm Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, and as always, I love you, and I remind you, love yourself well. Peace.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello everyone and welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio Show. This is Pernilla Lillerose, your host, and we will talk more about the okayness to be yourself, that it's okay to be you. And it's as if we have been taught and conditioned that it's not okay to be who we are. And it is sad. It's really sad because the more you get out of that belief and you look back at it, it's about as insane as it gets. But because we are so identified with it and have been conditioned to believe that, it takes more than just me saying this for most of us. It has certainly taken me quite a while to get out of that belief and really resting in the knowing that who I am it's not only okay, it's actually delicious and beautiful. It's embracing my own energy, and it's just beautiful. Now that doesn't mean I'm perfect by any means. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's really beautiful to just be myself. There is kind of a peace, a deep restfulness in that. Because when we're not resting in and as ourselves, there's a grasping always. There's always a trying to be other than we are. And there's also a grasping to think we need to change and be different. So there's always there's an unrest in us that's always trying to improve ourselves and become better and more enlightened and more loving. And again, there's nothing wrong with going with that movement, because I can feel that there is something in me that is always wanting to be able to open up more to love, more to God, more to oneness, more to everyone, just in that there is a movement. But what I stopped a long time ago is making myself wrong or shooting myself into being different the moment that I am now. See, that's where a lot of that static and that tension and that pain and suffering, it simply falls away when you just take one petal at a time and realize like, oh, well, this is how I am right now. I want to leave this job, but I'm afraid, right? So you're not making yourself wrong for being afraid, and you're not making your boss wrong for being not nice. That's not the answer. It's just seeing like, okay, working for somebody like that is not good for me, and I'm afraid. And somehow the knowing that it's not good for me is not strong enough to get me out of it yet. The fear of leaving is bigger than the longing to be out of it. So you need to be present with whatever is. Because otherwise you get into this should, and pushing yourself and making yourself wrong. And it goes absolutely nowhere. Nowhere. But if you just stop and say, okay, I want to leave this job because the boss is not, or the workplace, maybe they're not very good with sustainability for the world, or if that's something that's important to you, you can just see that this is not good for you or for anybody, and your fear is bigger. So you need to be with your fear. There's no way around it. If you can just kick it out and say, I'm done with the fear, great. But you need to feel it in your body. And if you can't do that from a natural, authentic, loving place to yourself, you need to embrace the fear, and you need to listen to it, and you need to realize that this is my experience right now. And you have the longing inside to be out of that, to be out of the workplace or whatever and into something better, but you still need to take all the steps to help soften the fearful part so that it can feel fully integrated, so that when you leave that job, you will feel strong inside, you'll feel confident, you'll feel loving, you will not be blaming your boss or the workplace because you have embraced yourself. And when you do embrace yourself and accept all of who you are, the need to blame others simply goes away. It just disappears. But as long as we are not fully embracing who we are, if we're still having a battle inside where we say it's not okay to be me, then something will happen. Then you will project it out, and that doesn't work. If you notice that you are blaming somebody else, you can be sure that there is something in yourself that you have not embraced, that you're basically blaming yourself for something about yourself. And that is where you need to really fully allow all of yourself to be met from a very loving and gentle place. I have been in situations where I would defend myself, I would justify myself, and I would blame other people. We have all been there. When I finally fully embraced what was true for me, what were my core values, and didn't try and be different than I was, the whole blame, justifying, defending myself, it just disappeared. Suddenly I could feel love for this other person. Not that I wanted to be around them necessarily. It looks like there's some problems with feedback here, guys. I'm getting some messages. I don't know what to do. Let me turn it down a little bit. Maybe you can let me know, Donna, if you can hear me okay like this. I have it turned down quite a bit. Oh, it's down on, it's down to the absolute minimum. So I'm not sure what that can be. Okay, so this is the best I can do. I hope you can all hear me and that the feedback is not too bad. You might want to turn down your mic a little, or your phone, or the sound a little bit. Anyway, I'll just to be yourself, when you're not arguing with yourself, when you're not shooting yourself, when you're not blaming yourself for being afraid, let's say, then you will automatically stop blaming and projecting it onto others. It's so simple when you see it. It's very, very empowering at the same time, because it will give you a sense of peace. Now, you may have to go, like I say, you may have to go through rearranging some furniture in your life, whatever that means, if it's your job, your relationship, any kind of partnership, or whatever it is. In order to be yourself, yes, it will maybe create some waves. And that is okay. It's really okay. That does not mean that you should not listen to what is true for you. And it certainly does not mean that you're doing something wrong or that you're bad, but that is the first place we go, right? When we're being ourselves and moving in the direction from our own truth, it's very likely that you'll run up against some people who are not going to like it. And it is too bad, but it's just how it is. But the more you feel okay with being who you are, you will be able to be present with this other person and help them be present with their reaction. Because if they have a reaction to you being true to yourself, that is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of their own fear or their own sadness that maybe is being projected out on you as if that is your fault. You see, and this is what happens. And this is unavoidable because we have been in a lot of these convoluted relationships and situations that in order to get out of it, we are going to move through a little bit of convolution. It's almost unavoidable. And I'm just getting a message here from Teresa. She says, Pernille, is that really how it is, that when I blame someone, that means that there is something I don't allow of myself? Teresa, I know I'm saying that, and I could say yes. I don't know if it's always like that. It depends on where it's coming from inside. For the most part, if there is an emotional charge in it, it probably is. And again, not to make that wrong, but there are also things that are happening in the world that we know are not right? But yeah, you know what? It is the same. Let's say some people are blaming, the government, and they're upset with the government for all the things that are going on in the world, and we know it's not great out there. There's nothing wrong with seeing that there's something wrong out there, that something needs, and not wrong, but like wrong, but more like this needs to change in order for love to flow freely. We need to bring more consciousness to this. But if you're coming from a place of just blame, and yang, finger pointing, you can be sure that there is something in you that is not, that's not at peace in yourself. Because you can also go out and make a difference in the world without that emotional charge. It's not that there's anything wrong with having an emotional charge, but if it's very negative and blame, there's a good chance that there's something in yourself you have not met. So Teresa, yeah, for the most part, I would say if you are in a situation where you blame others, the reason may be that you're in a situation that's not right for you and you're afraid to leave, or you're afraid to say something, and therefore you project it out on these other people instead. But what if this situation was placed in your life so you could walk up to this person and say, you know what? There's something going on here that is really disturbing me, and I would like to talk to you about it. Is it possible we can sit down for 10 minutes and where I can just share with you what's going on for me and what I see happening. And I wonder if we can find a better way. See, then you're part of creating a better solution for whatever situation you might be in. But if you just pull back and don't say anything, and if you're just afraid and you just let it go, but you're upset with this person, nothing is going to change. So maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, I don't know what the situation is and if it relates, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to find a more courageous place in yourself where you can start speaking your truth, where you're speaking from your own experience, because then you are being yourself, right? You can come in and say, you know, when I see this, or when this person speaks to me in this way, it doesn't feel good, you know. I know I'm doing a great job. I love being talked to like an adult, but here it feels a little bit, you know, blah, 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 whatever it is. And I wonder if you are aware of this. And, you know, what is it like for you to hear this? Can we have a conversation about it? I'm not making you wrong. I'm simply trying to make the workplace more harmonious, more mature, more whatever it is, so we can enjoy each other more, and then maybe the productivity can increase. You see, I'm just saying something, not knowing the situation, but you can see if there's anything in there that resonates with you, and if this is an opportunity to make a difference in the world. And I do see this in the world, period, if we all do that, you know, because I've done it sometimes actually in my neighborhood where there were things that really were not right. And I was really afraid that they would get upset with me if I would say something, and I just suggest something, and I say, you know, I just want you to know this, and, you know, then I would share my experience. And, you know, the thing is that it was actually received well, and things improved in this neighborhood because of that, little things. But it was because I went and spoke my truth without blame, without finger pointing, without defending myself. But I was very raw and vulnerable when I shared it, and, you know, there was some fear in it, and I didn't try to hide that because that was my experience that moment. And it was well received, and it's happened a few times. So instead of holding myself back and being upset with these people who are quote unquote doing this thing, I found the courage in me to just go and be myself and say, you know, this really troubles me. Is there a way we can do it differently? I know this is blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm hoping you could just hear me for a moment. And it changed. It really changed in a big way. So it takes us being courageous, especially as women, and not be so afraid of either hurting others or of being hurt by others, by being ourselves. And eventually learning to be okay with the fact if other people don't like who we are when we are ourselves. I personally have come to a place where, for the most part, I don't care what other people think about me. And it's not like in a negative way, oh, I don't care what they think about me. It's more important for me to be so true to myself that if other people don't like that, I can still be true to myself, I can still like myself, and I can simply honor that they have a different experience. That's all it is. It's not a personal thing about me that I shouldn't want this or be this. It just means that we have different experiences, and that's okay. And if those experiences are too different, then you might wonder, well, why am I here then? You know, if we can't agree on this, if we can't find harmony on this, is it right for us to be together, whether it's a relationship or if it's a work situation or whatever it is, right? Is it really right for me to be here if our core values are that different? And then you need to learn to honor yourself. And boy, is that powerful. I can just share a little bit about what it's like in my experience to have found deeper and deeper levels of okayness with myself in spite of what other people say. There is, for the most part, a deep sense of stillness, of presence, and beingness, like a confidence that is not just like, oh, I can do this. It's not like a tight confidence. It's just a deep, restful confidence in knowing that this is who I am, and I can add to that, I can't really help it. This is simply who I am. This is how life moves as me. These core values, I'm not making them up. They're just here. For me, it's just important that there's harmony, that there's respect, that there's an honoring of love, of truth, that there's a resting in the deep silence. There's certain core values that are just who I am, you might say. That's simply how my essence expresses itself when I get out of the way. Now, have I been battling that most of my life? You bet I have. And that's why I lived in such misery and suffering and efforting always. But the more I simply allow myself to listen in, what are my core values? What is my truth? There's simply a deep relaxation. And most of the time, if people disagree with me, I don't have anything to say. I just feel a love for them. I feel love for myself. I feel a love for our differences. And I don't need them to be different. And I don't need me to be different. It's only because I am embracing all of myself. Then all that garbage that I used to get involved in, it's not even an issue. It doesn't even exist here. So that's why I really want to encourage everyone to just learn to find out, well, who am I? What are my core values? And what happens if I start living them? If other people don't like it? It will happen. But can you keep moving from that place of truth in yourself? And if somebody gets hurt by it, you still don't need to defend yourself or make them wrong for that. You could say something like, I'm noticing that it hurts you when I'm myself, and it scares me a little bit because it makes me think that I'm bad or wrong. But if I really, really check in with myself, this is my truth. And it's not because I don't like you or love you. It's just this thing here is something that wants to take birth as me, and I've been preventing it and resisting it my whole life, and it's caused me so much suffering. And I can't do that to myself anymore, right? Then you're being so true to yourself, and then you can say to this other person, whether it's your boss or your partner or your child or your parent or whatever it is, you can say, is there a way we can make this work so you know that this is not about you, that I can show you that I still deeply care about you, and that I want you to be true to yourself too. And then you come to the peak of the mountain almost where you just now you can look at, well, now that everything is on the table, right? Nothing is hidden. I'm not pretending to be different than I am. I'm not suppressing myself anymore. Now I'm fully me. How can we proceed from here? What is our next step when we can just be ourselves? You see, it's different, isn't it, than blaming and pulling back and thinking, it's not okay to be this. My sweet friends, it is more than okay to be who you are. It is so needed. You being you is so important that you bring that to the planet right now. That is the energy that is missing to create peace on earth. It is you being you, your beautiful energy, when you're not suppressing it. You may have a wonderful mission, small or big, that is waiting to happen by you just being you. And it may not show up as anything big, but just the fact that you are you, it will change the whole resonance in you, the whole resonance field around you, and it will affect the world in its own beautiful way. So if you ever wonder if it's okay to be you, call me or email me and I'll remind you that it's not only okay, it is essential. And when you start embracing yourself as you will start dancing. You will start seeing yourself in a way that you have never seen yourself. And coincidentally, other people will start noticing your difference and they are going to like it. You might meet new friends or new jobs or whatever, and you'll be surrounded by people who really like that. And why would you not be around people who want you to be you, right? Why would you not be in a community or a circle of friends where you're being appreciated for being you? And it can be very unique, in a way that you may never even have thought about. But I'm here to encourage you to be that, and I'm here to help you be and become that if you need that, because that is what I came here to do, just so you know. Because when I embrace that in myself, then I realize that I can see it and feel it in others, what their truth is. And I can help you bring that forward so you can actually enjoy that and really walk around with a smile on your face just because you're you. So I always want to invite you to check out my website. If there's anything there, you need support with, it's probably there. And if you are not receiving, if you're not receiving my e-zine or my emails, I must admit I haven't been sending them out for a little while, but I usually send out regular emails and, with a little bit about what the radio show is going to be about, with some things that how it relates to my own life or some insights I've had. So go to lilarose.com and put your name in there, and then you will simply receive my little. It used to be weekly, but it's a little less often now, which you'll probably appreciate because there's always so much coming into the email. But please, make sure you stay connected so you know what we're talking about and a way to stay connected with me if you need that. Yeah, so the time always goes so fast, and here we are at the top of the hour again. But it's been wonderful to be with you, and please, if there's any way I can support you, connect with me. You can find all that information on my website, which is lilarose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And I wish you all a beautiful day, and being yourself, start practicing being yourself. Do it with people where it's safe, so you feel acknowledged and that it's okay to be yourself, because that will help you in process. All right, my friends, be well, and I'll be back next week. Much love to you.
Like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. 'Cause we're awakened.